Hello, hello, HRA. I'm back for Div 1. It's been a long time since I've been able to even catch Div 1. There was like last four of last season I couldn't do on last game. Oh, Iron Man. Why you be doing me like that? Yeah. I'm gonna miss driving on track. I'll say it all at the start of the stream so I'm not incessant about it and being salty. Genuinely, I'm gonna miss driving in the league. The two races I had were amazing. They were good fun. But honestly, I cannot cope with the amount of glitches this game has. It is just ridiculous. Like, the amount of disconnects, force feedback issues. It's just not worth it, you know. I want to chuck everything into this league because I care about it, and then I get it all stripped away from me by the game fucking me over. 3 races in a row. And it happened twice in another league that I did a single race in. And I packed it in that league as well. Because I couldn't be bothered with it, but I thought I'd give it a go. And HRA trying to brave the storm, but nah. Honestly, if I'm not enjoying it enough, I'd rather go back to doing commentary because I absolutely love commentating on this stream. Absolutely love it. This stream, this grid, all 3 divisions, just insane. And I fair warning, I cannot do Div 3 this Sunday. I do intend to do the Division 3s, so hold me to that. I just can't do it this Sunday because I am at Daytona Milton Keynes doing an endurance race. So, this is sure to be an amazing race. We saw an absolutely banging race in Division 2. I have no noise restrictions today. The parents are out. My brother knows I'll be loud. So we can throw everything at this, as I'm sure 17 drivers we have here today will do. We've got a few Div 2s reserving. We've got a title fight with the quickest driver out there, George, because he is the quickest. George and Thomas are fastest. That is fact. But Maslan has kept it hooked up all season long. 2 wins for 2, I believe it is. And although you don't really follow stuff like that when you're having your own issues, it is clear that we have got one hell of a title fight on our hands. We have Maz leading by 21 points, George and Thomas trailing on 27, and the rest 29 and 27 respectively. Mercedes leading the constructors. Kuski looking to get it hooked up. He's had pace the whole time. We've had so many rapid drivers. We've got 3 gunning for this title right now. You can maybe put in Tronzik and George in there as well. George, BC something. I can't read it. Gargreaves in there. But the real fight is in those drivers in the top 3. Just 22 points separate them. With 10 rounds to go. I'm sure that will reduce greatly. So we prepare to get ready and get in it. Get going. Constructors wise, Mercedes lead by an incredible margin. 44 points. They are sitting on 77 with 2 wins and a third. A podium rate of 75% from that team. Mental stuff, and with the championship leader and the driver in third place in the championship, they have what can only be called a ridiculous lineup. If anyone was watching my stream when I realised who it was, they would have seen the fear that I had when I saw that name. Oh, they wouldn't have seen it, but they surely would have heard it, because I was scared to death, because I've raced Thomas once before and he handed it to me on F1 2020, I believe, in EFR. Just having the first disconnect of the night there. But Thomas is ruthless, and that was back in the days when I was so over-aggressive everywhere. I drove like Max, defensively and attacking. 2021 Max, of course, let's clarify that. I've raced Thomas before, and he thrashed me. This was before my esports days, before I peaked on 21, but he handed it to me. He was about 3 tenths a lap quicker around Bahrain, I believe it was, and I had a massive fight with him, 3 or 4 laps. We collided a good few times. In the end, he bested me that race, as I made a mistake when we were battling and I crashed. Just from being shocked at how quick he was out the gates. It didn't take him time to warm up. He was just there. And he was rapid out of the blocks. George, I didn't know much about. Still don't. We've raced in our BN Bunker League. Damn. Honestly, if there are invites open to that, I might join that as a casual league. Not a sweat one, more I turn up and just drive. Have a bit of fun. Dom begging it to be dry. He saw the Div 2 stream. He knows what wet can produce. There were so many mistakes. Yeah. Stuart saying wet. Fizz Bungle in the lobby as well. A driver who I know very well. Let me add Fizz to the friends list. It's dry. As the clock ticks down, there's an Alfa Romeo already making his way out the pit lane. Once again, a reminder to any drivers in the lobby before you go out, check if you have been added on EA or Xbox. If not, send me a friend request after the race on EA, because I don't think you can do it while in game, or add me on Xbox and I will re-add you straight away, because we want people to get back in as quick as possible if there are any issues and disconnects. Alright then, apologies for that, just changing up the music. Alfa Romeo, Gargreaves set the fastest lap last time out. George taking it in the first one, so these two with pace. We cannot count Greaves out of this championship fight. We cannot count anyone out of this fight. Everyone has a chance, even the reserves, if they turn up and won every race, they'd still be in there. doubt that'll happen, but hey, it's HRA. So here we go then. Gargreaves come to start the flying lap. The first lap of this Japanese Grand Prix in Division 1. The pinnacle of HRA. Very, very strong through there, using all the curb on the exit. Chuck it in here, hold it flat, use both curbs, dip it down a couple gears. That's wide, and that's a spin for Greaves. Took too much, clipped the grass on both of the corners through the chicane. And so then, as we see these two cars passing by, Mad Mark will, not Mad Mark, who will it be? It'll be Dom. No, who's the next? Out, screw it. We'll just have a look at what Mad Mark's going to do here. Heading towards Degner. Some of the most technically challenging corners in the world, all packed into one circuit. Into the only figure of 8 circuit on the Formula 1 calendar, and you get Suzuka. This is a track with history upon history. Good, bad, and ugly. And then there's the very ugly. Touched on it in Division 2, but we had a lot of rivals. Titans clash at this track in many forms of motorsport. As Ironlands left the session, I will look to get him an invite back in just quickly. Oh! Incident there. You could just see it in the background. Christ. Jesus. That was touch and go there for Mad Mark. Lewis goes fastest. That was who I was trying to find before. Dom goes above Mad Mark, who had to take evasive action for that car on the racing line at the last corner. Must have scared the living daylights out of Mad Mark. Quick on his feet. Keeps it in or on the black stuff. Jelly goes P3, LFC goes P5. We've got cars coming to the line left, right and centre to start and finish flying laps. We've got Kuski finishing a lap. We've got, I believe, his teammate in front of him finishing a lap. Well, George go P1, 1:27.6. What can Kuski do? Slots in P2. Some way off his teammates. These two have been a deadly combination. They're always in parties together. Thomas separates the two of them in the Black Bullet. This man is always in Mercedes when I rate him. Always. He was in EFR. And he is here. Dom goes P5. No, he's been there. Hammer P9. There's the established order so far. Maz yet to come out of the pits. Maslan, current championship leader. We shouldn't dwell on that too early. As Muck goes P1. That's a name I've not seen before. Whoever the hell he is, he's making a name for himself out of the box, figuratively and literally. The Aston Martin, not Alfa Romeo, Jesus. The Aston Martin, the Green Machine in P1. 12 minutes left on the clock. The times will tumble, and they are tumbling. Snake goes P3. Another driver who you can't count out. Not on his good or his bad days. He will always be up there. He will always find a way. And Aston Martin with pace here. We've got Aston with a solid team. We've got Alpine with a solid team. We've got Fizz Bungle, P7. Fizz, a driver who, I'm not going to lie, I will not be impartial about him. He's a very good friend of mine. Has been for a solid couple years. But this will be the first time that I see him in a league racing fitting. In 2 years, I'd say. I didn't really race him in leagues last game. So I have no idea where he is, but is it a decent bar there, or 28.6? Above Flexi, above Ben, and above Don. As Ironland gets back in the session and Muck dives into the pit lane then. We've got a Ferrari coming to the line. Is that Intronsic starting a flyer? You bet your ass it is. Anyone on any flies have got Intronsic. Let's ride on board with the Ferrari here. See what he can do. As you see the sort of Mercedes coming out the pit, staying out of the way. Maz on his outlap. See the aggression you have to chuck into these corners. Again, such technical corners. Does he hold it flat through here? Yes, he does. Little twitch going over the crest, uphill, off camber, will unsettle the car. Degner 1. Straight into Degner 2, slamming on the anchors. Don't want to use too much exit curb. Very hooked up through there. Got to turn, straighten out the car, and then stamp on the brakes immediately. That AlphaTauri was out the way, but it was still will have distracted him. One of the most tricky traction zones on the calendar. Gets it good. Hugs the inside. Not line of least resistance. It's a line of least travel in the Formula 1 games. Always has been, and it probably always will be for a long time to come. Although Tire Marbles being added this game has added that to the equation. But Intronsic taking the line of least distance there and taking it very smoothly through Spoon as well. He's committed here, but he's also committed to get a lap on the board. Nice through 130R, slamming on the anchors into La Chicane. Misses that first apex, flashes with the second one all over the exit curb. He'll hug the inside here, struggling on traction, gets it to the line. P6 for Intronsic. Ferrari in the hands of Intronsic with pace around here. And we'll jump to Maslan on his outlap. Once again, a bit of a dynamic playing out here. We have 3 teams with solid lineups who are up there. We've got Mercedes, Alpine and Aston Martin battling at the top. And then you've got the lowly drivers, the first drivers in the team, fighting their way into that established top 3 teams. Even though it's equal, the best always trickle to the best teams. Not saying they're the best teams, but they are the preferred teams. Mercedes, a force to be reckoned with. Always Aston Martin as well. These two have always been up there. Speaking of up there, and speaking of the lowly single competitive cars, no offense to Ironland, he is a reserve here, so I'll say that. No, that he's not a Div 1 driver, not yet. But it creates an odd dynamic because you've got these teams who will naturally want to work together, even if you're not in a call, like I know Kusky and Georgia will be right now. You want to work with your teammate. You don't want to hit them, and you want to bring good results home for the team. Because teamwork does, in fact, make the dream work. You do them a favour early in the season. If you're in a title fight late season, they'll probably do it same back. As while I'm chatting absolute codswallop, Maz has gone to the top. 127.2 into the .2s. Will we see any improvements on that? Well, time will tell. And time indeed will tell in the next 7 minutes on the clock. Plenty of time to see improvement. Maz pushing on the in-lap, trying to see where the drop-off of the tyre is possibly. That's what I like to do. Keep it hooked, keep the foot down for the first sector, just to see what the tyres do. But as I was saying, yeah, you've got the established teams who will be working together, and then you've got the single drivers up there who will be, you know, feeling like a single bee that's just come across a giant hornet's nest, you know, trying to navigate their way through. But that makes success taste so much better when you get it, as you've not only beat your rival, you beat their teammate as well. I know you guys can't hear my music, but I'm listening to sort of movie soundtracks like Oppenheimer, Interstellar, and That Mercedes actually scared me seeing it come towards 130R with this music in the background. So then, who's played their cards right so far? And who has the best hand going into this last section? Well, you'd have to think it's Mercedes 1-2 right now. But the Alpine of Kuski has improved up to third. And you have to think George ever so slightly quicker than Kuski, not by much. So we'll see. He's got pace. We know that Muck earlier on in the season, earlier on in the session, my apologies, put that stonking lap in. His first lap in this league, and he goes and puts that time in. And then the track evolved, and then the times got quicker. But before that, as Flexi goes up to P8, before that, Muck was top before all the track evolution, before all of that sort of stuff. He was quick. So with more rubber laid down, I would say anyone in the top 8 has a decent shout here as Ben Lane retires from the session. In the pits, I believe that was. It's Raven on an outlap. Dom, I believe. No, not on a flyer. Out of fuel, actually. Got to be careful here. Running out of fuel. We saw Hamilton getting disqualified in Division 2. At this very corner, actually. He just couldn't get it going. And it disqualified him. Didn't want to reset to track as Raven. Here we go then. Reserving. He was demoted down to Div 2. He had good pace. Oh, and he's gone and it's out. Wow. So, I was going to say he had good pace in Div 2 early doors, but just could not keep it together. And it's happened again for Raven. Overcommitted and ambition ahead of adhesion, as Martin Brundle would say. Same there for Iron, going wide at that corner. Iron will be riding high around this track after his first podium in Division 2, where the cards were finally right. Didn't have to call anyone's bluff of saying that he's quicker or anything like that. He just showed it. No mistakes. Clinically, nearly had a few issues, but he had already stolen the podium because of Mercedes Vig, who retired from the lead on the last lap after losing it out. And Ironman got it at the line, like Alonso Vettel, all over again. So Ironland warming his tyres, doing a double warm up here, which I do think might be beneficial, but for me, I just push on the outlap, tyres are there. All over the curbs there. Got Kuski and George on outlaps. I genuinely think anyone in this top 8 is in the fight for pole right now. The more likely are, I'd say, 5th and above. You never know. Honestly, you never know with this league. We have all of the big dogs on their outlaps then. George, the first of them. But will he end up the first of them? Well, he'll very much want that in his Alpine. So will his teammate. And that is where the issues begin as Hammer retires. He's dropped it, same place that Raven did. Turn 2, as it technically is, claiming many, many people here. And as the clock ticks down, And George rides the brake to warm his tyres up. He will want to be on pole position here as the Alfa Romeo just about getting out the way, staying out the way of everyone except his teammate coming up behind. Have they got an AlphaTauri on a flyer behind them? I believe, no, it's on an outlap. Here we go. This is it then. Qualifying never disappoints at Suzuka, and it's not disappointing here. We have an AlphaTauri opting to stick in the slipstream there. Into turn one goes George, fully committed, fully sending it. He'll chuck it in here, down 2 gears for the right. Down 1 actually to keep the engine at bay. Very nice. Hold 5th throughout this whole section. Dip it down into 4th for a bit more rotation, straight up to 5th. Short shifting just before the apex. Give maximum drive. On the run down towards Degner, flick the car in, front responds nicely. Again in the second one, slamming on the anchors, all the way out, not on the exit curb. Lovely stuff here from George. He's keeping it very hooked up. I didn't quite catch a split in sector 1, but it's been mighty so far from what I can see. George, on the run of his life here, he's kept it extremely clean. Does he flick it up to 8th gear? No, he'll hold 7th. For stability on entry, hug the inside curb, let it roll right out to the exit. George is on it here. He is absolutely flying, and as he comes towards a sector split, is he up? My God, is he up? He's found 4 temps. If he can hold this, he will be on pole position. But that is barring any improvements from the other drivers gunning for pole position, and there are many of them here at Suzuka gunning for pole. Cuts the inside, cuts the beam. What will it be? P1 for George. His teammate does not improve on his lap. So then, to the line. Thomas doesn't improve. Maz is up by half a tenth, but he's invalidated. George has stolen it at the last, unless Muck and Lewis can do anything about it. Lewis ahead of Muck to the line. What does he do? Doesn't improve. Muck goes pole. He's done it. The top 3 separated by less than 0.08 of a second. What a qualifying here, and what a performance from Muck. On debut, he sticks it P1 and sticks it to the establishment. Aston Martin are back with a bang around Suzuka. And what a dynamic we will have for this race. See the 2 Mercedes and the 2 Alpines bullying Muck, but will there be any success in it? We'll have to find out. What a qualifying here today. 8 thousandths of a second, the pole margin. But pole is pole. Starting first on the clean side of the grid. What a shocker session, says Dom. Probably just seeming like Dom struggled for the raw pace. Just maybe making a few mistakes here and there. Got a 5th place penalty as well. So he'll start from the back. But there's one thing about starting from the back, and that's the fact that you can just send it all or nothing. If you crash at turn 1, you're starting last anyway. If you make it up and pull a Verstappen, what he did last year at Belgium, all the better. Snake saying he's got some work to do. But honestly, I'd prefer... I don't know if I prefer being... I'd probably prefer being on pole, not gonna lie. But knowing that there's time and there are cars who you know you are quicker than ahead of you just creates an amazing dynamic throughout the race, because you just sieve your way through the field. I've been there and done both. And honestly, lights the flag, although I'd rather be on pole, lights the flag victories are boring as hell. I've been there, done that. I much prefer a pretty sizable fight. As I'm sure there'll be plenty of sizable fights here at Suzuka. Alright, I'd like your predictions, lads. How is this one gonna go? Japan, dry. We saw plenty of mistakes last time out in the wet. You can see the cars to the right bobbing up and down with excitement there. What a prospect we have on our hands. Honestly, I haven't been this excited for a league race in a long, long time. It's good to be back. Oh boy. My prediction that we will have 3 different teams on the podium. And my prediction is that the championship lead will be extended at this race. And what else? Oh, but who do I think is going to win? I'm gonna go bold. I'm a back snake to make an ungodly performance here. No pressure, lad. It will be one of the Aston Martins. It must be. Or will it be George? Because 8 thousandths. What teams? Aston Martin, Mercedes, and... Oh, let's go bold. Aston Martin, Mercedes. Let me have a look at the race director, see who's where. Williams. Aston, Mercedes, Williams, in that order. I think we'll see both the Alpines get screwed over by safety cars. It's bold, man. It is very bold. Top 2 aren't really bold. But, you know, Williams gives Ironland prospects for a double podium at Japan. Or Lewis may perform on the big stage. God, it's so exciting. So I've actually got to plug my headset in because it's just started beeping at me because it's low on charge. Alrighty. Still waiting for a go ahead after a 5 minutes. I'm going to shut my window here so that my neighbours don't judge me. Because I'm going to be loud. Alright. Yeah, at the end of the day, if it's fun, then who actually cares? I've said it a million times, but I'll say it again. I don't necessarily care about finishing where I finish. Finishing position, that's the word. I more care that I feel like I did everything I could. And after a bad quali, the mindset's got to be send it. Got to still be careful into one, because Constantina effect here, it's claimed me and it's claimed many millions of other drivers playing this game. Indeed. Good luck, people, and have fun. I'm just gonna mute to give my voice a little bit of a break because it's starting to get a bit scratchy. On mute when we all start readying up. All right then, here we go. 5 red lights. It's lights out and away we go. It looks like a decent start from Muck. Decent start, but it's an amazing start for both of the Mercedes cars. We're 4 wide into 1. Muck holds a lead from Maz, Kusky and George side by side. Heading towards the S's, they're still side by side. There's side by side action in the background there. Red Bull on the attack. That'll be Fizz looking to get past Thomas, who's had an absolute stinker of a start. So was Lewis being demoted all the way back down. Absolute scenes into turn 1. 4 wide for a second then. But Muck leads Maz, leads Kusky, leads George, leads Greaves. Thomas, Haas there having a bit of a moment. That'll be Ben Lane. So Lewis will get back up past him. Eddie lunges into the hairpin. You bet. A Ferrari down the inside makes contact with his teammate there, Flexi, but gets past. We've got a car on the outside. That's Ben Lane losing even more positions down there. We've got an Alpha Tauri of Mad Mark looking to go right round the outside of the sister Italian car in the Ferrari. He does it. Clean move from Mad Mark there. But he finds himself in the Scuderia sandwich, so he's got to mind himself here. As we see Dom and Raven side by side, fighting over pretty much the wooden spoon. If you take the Haas's out the mix, who both had stinker starts, but Snake and Fizz Bungle are out. What has happened here? An almighty accident. The both of them out. Safety car deployed. Anyone in the pits? Any damage up and down the grid? We see Mad Mark. No, Intronsic and Island boxing. Ben Lane into the box as well. Iron gets a 5 for speeding into the pits. What happened there? Going into the chicane. Once that clip uploads, Snake, do you mind sending it to the account? Because I want to have a look, see what's happened, so I can laugh at Fizz. I mean, give my constructive criticism. Snake out. And breathe, people. Wow. Start to this race. Now we can have a look at what the tyres are and get all my graphics up. I didn't really get time to enable them as my countdown didn't start. Apologies for not catching it on stream as well. I was more focused on the wooden spoon. But that was seemingly a massive crash. Well, seemingly it was. We had the Red Bull facing the wrong way. Just one of those. So I just talked to Fizz in chat. In the chat. Basically, he didn't mean anything bad. He was shutting the door, steadily shutting the door, and he thought Snake would pick up on it. And then a collision happened. So I'm guessing you went for the outside line, Snake, just as he was closing it. Or maybe... I don't know. I have to see a clip. Alrighty then. Let's have a look what tyres people are on here, as the safety car will most likely be in this lap. Tyres. Hards for the leader. Wow. Safety car is in this lap then. So Muck prepares for the restart then. Restarts at Japan, always tricky. People just tend to go out of the chicane, and it does cause one hell of a concertina. But he's gone before the chicane. Muck has darted into the distance, and he's done it. The early start strat has worked. He's pulled out 9 tenths already, hammering Dom, making collision further back. And that's created a little bit of a gap back there. Mad Mark straight into the pits. Something wrong there. Same for Dom into the pits. Both Alpha Tauris diving into the pit lane there. Damage, possibly, for both cars. Both at once, you'd have to think. It's a little unlikely, as the cars snake their way through the S's. Ben Lane and Intronsic having a couple passes done. George all over the back of his teammate, 4 tenths the gap there. Might be a little bit of a stalemate while we wait for DRS here. Ben's not wanting it to be a stalemate, not at all. He's all over the back of the Ferrari. But let me have a look at the lead, see what's going on here. The 2 Alpines going to be fighting away. Yellow flags. Raven has spin-alled, unfortunately for him. So the cars just waiting patiently for DRS to be enabled here. And the gap staying relatively tight. Muck had the fastest lap, but was beaten to it straight away by Mads, who gained 2 tenths from the start, and it's gaining all the way down this straight. Yellow flags for Ironland. Not Ironland, sorry. Hammer has had a bit of a spin. He's now side by side here, going into one between 2 Ferrari powered cars, 1 American, 1 Italian. Both on the whiteboard hards. No, Intronsic on the mediums, and he'll actually use that to his advantage and get ahead. Ironland doing the exact same in the background, so it's a double loss of position for Haas. And just look at the mini-map. Look at that battle at the front. That is really going to get juicy very, very soon. We've got the top 6 all sitting within a second of each other. Not, of course, a second, first to 6th. That would be insane, but Muck extending it out in the middle sectors, but he's losing out on the straights. ERS-wise is quite equal between these 2 drivers. But while I'm talking about these, you cannot count these 2 cars out behind. Husky pushing the ERS to the limit, same with George. And Greaves, Thomas trying to hold on to this. Thomas, after the great qualifying, drop position, same said for Lewis. So both of them will have good pace. George using all of that first curve, missing the second, as you should. Keeps the car stable, keeps it planted, and he is looking to send it down the inside here on the Alfa Romeo, side by side down the main straight. Pretty clean move there for George. He sweeps his way up into 5th position, ahead of Gar Greaves. Nice move, and he will now give chase to the Alpines. Alrighty then. Gar Greaves, though, is held onto Thomas, who's not quite in the DRS. And the Alpines starting to close into the leaders. Yellow flags. Raven is out of the session. Full safety car deployed for that then. LFC does the same. What has happened to him? Oh, he's had a crash with Flexi. Slowing down to get on the Delta. There has been a collision between 2 Ferrari power cars. We're seeing a lot of battling, bumping and scraping between the Ferrari power cars. And the works team has a collision. with the customer team. Driver of LFC, who is out. I reckon just concertina effect. Someone braking too sharp for the safety car restart, or someone not, a safety car delta, or someone not noticing it in time. That is just a shame for LFC and Raven, both out. We've had 2 double DNFs. First one was related, but this one, absolutely no relation. Div 1 loves safety cars. It's just people are so aggressive in this league. Raven just dropping it because that's Raven. That's Raven's stance at the start of this game. His confidence has taken a knock from a lack of pace, but he will find it. It's in there because it was there last game. Just has to get back used to it. We see Maz and Greaves into the pits. Then Maz pitting from P2, going for an alternate strategy here. He will be put right on the back of the leading pack, but he will have a couple slower, in quotation marks, cars for himself to pass, and that is where incidents can happen. Under safety car restarts, LFC leaves the session as well. Not exactly sure what's happened there, but we move. So under safety car, the leaders have caught it then. Maz, I'd say it's advantage Maz right now. Yeah. It'll take time. I sucked at F122 when it came out. 3 months later, I was top 100 at most tracks. Except Imola. Fuck Imola. I say that out loud. I mean, no, don't like Imola. So safety car deployed then. Let's give Dom a chance to catch up. 28 seconds off. All there. Safety car will be in next lap because, of course, it has only just come out. This race has an interesting dynamic now, to say the very, very least. While there's a safety car out, I'm going to quickly pop downstairs, grab myself some water, just to keep my throat from burning. I'll be back in just a second. Alright then, I'm back. Just in time for us to round Spoon Curve and see Dom rounding to the back of the grid. Where have I put my controller? There it is. Yeah, but Raven, you were good at last game. You had pace. Remember the first open lobby I did with you? You absolutely handed it to me at Belgium. Granted, not one of my best tracks, but still. You handed it to me, mate. Belgium and I think Japan as well. And then I've re-warmed up to the game and then, yeah. But we move. Okay. So this will be the second safety car restart for Muck this race. He nailed the first one. You can't really do the same again here. This is a lovely camera shot from FOM, I have to say. I think he's going to go between the two S's. And he has. Exactly what I would have done, and he's executed it to perfection. Something that I absolutely would not have done. Side by side, instantly in the background. Thomas and George side by side down the main straight. This is the third position. These two are 2 points separated in the championship. 29 to 27 points. The title rival is all the way down in 10th right now. That's Ben Lane moving down positions. Again, after working his way back up, he's made a couple mistakes there. But Thomas unable to sneak past George, which is crucial for the championship for the both of them. And they have to sort of work together here in tandem. Because although they're rivals, P1 in the championship is 21 points clear at the moment. Got there in the end. As we see Maz, did he avoid the chaos there? Yes, he did. Oh, Christ! So close, Gargreaves very, very nearly ramming into the back of the championship leader. Now that would have caused some controversy and chaos. They're side by side battling ahead. Absolutely on the limits there. Greaves so nearly running into the back. He must have damage on that car. Understeering all over the place. Jelly might have a chance here. Speaking of having a chance, Maz is all over the back of Ironland. They're side by side. Up ahead, the Haas of Ben Lane and Intronsic side by side. Ben Lane gets it done before 130R. Nice move. Intronsic, though, Iron thought about a dive, but he's been dove by Maz. And Gargreaves may even look to follow him through here. So Iron and Maz will battle it out down the straight. Jelly has a perfect view of the absolute chaos and carnage here. Ironland, it's side by side with the championship leader into turn one. Contact is made there between the two of them. Gargreaves says thank you very much and goes wide. There's yellow flags further down. That's Hammer's had a bit of a spincident in his Haas, not going his way today. But he is reserving after all. He's probably just here for a piss about, let's be honest. That's what I used to do when I reserved. So we're seeing two packs starting to form here, really. The Ben Lane pack and the Muck pack. Someone trade Muck pack, please. Ooh, Maz thinking about send, but he's got to be careful. Although he is an absolutely rapid driver, he does have Greaves, who is on the same strategy as him behind. So this, if it all works out, it's the fight for the net lead between the Alfa Romeo and the Mercedes. So this is, keep on saying crucial, but it is crucial for both of their races to stay ahead of the other car in traffic. And passing traffic is one of the most sought after needed skills in any form of motorsport, especially Formula One. You can have differences of seconds between cars side by side into 130R. Intronsic and Maz, they are on it here. Ooh, clipping the grass on entry and clipping Maz. Intronsic clipping Maz into a spin and then ignoring the fact that Gargreaves is there. Shocking driving standards from Intronsic there. He spun the championship leader and then nearly got spun on Greaves. And he's pushing Greaves all the way to the grass there. Absolutely diabolical driving standards from Intronsic there. But he'll keep it facing forwards. And out of all of it, Gargreaves takes advantage. And Maz has been spun round and has lost about 4 seconds from that incident. He's now to the very back of the pack. And with work to do, he will be driving with a vengeance now. Hopefully there's no damage to his Mercedes, because that was no fault of his own, just not left space there. Intronsic not leaving space for a car on the first apex, and then the second apex, and then nearly running someone onto the grass down the straight. That is how aggressive you have to be to race at the top. And speaking of aggression, down the inside goes Maz on Mad Mark. What a move. Solid, clean, and audacious from Maz. Proving to be one of the last of the late breakers here. The Mercedes already up to P12. Just corners after his incident. So as the battle at the back continues between Maz and Gargreaves trying to be the leader of the possible net leaders, the actual leaders are going through the final chicane and towards the DRS zone down the main straight. Do any of them pit? Not yet. Pit window should open around lap 14-ish. That will be when we see people into the pits slap on the hard compound tyre, a more versatile tyre around most tracks here, it's got to be said. But Muck on the alternate strategy. He will lose out the lead in the pit stops because we know George might go long. He's made them tyres last a bloody long time in Saudi Arabia and did a soft medium in the end, which I would never have thought possible of how I was driving. But he's currently sitting comfortable, sitting about where he'd want to be. You don't want to be second here. You can get slingshot by third, and you don't really want to be first here because of the DRS and the ERS advantage gained from being in the slipstream. Medium downforce or low downforce setups usually run here. You want to really, if you can get away with it, compromise the S's ever so slightly. Just have that pad more top end speed, because if you're on the leaders pace with less downforce, you're doing something right, because you're going to get to the straight and blast past everyone like a rocket ship blasting away. Which is not something we usually say about the Aston Martin and the Alpine and the Mercedes really in real life. We say it about the Williams, who are currently trailing by 4.2 seconds. Lewis sort of driving his own race here. Ben Lane 2 seconds behind, leading pack 4.2 seconds ahead. He's chilling, he's vibing, as we've got Mad Mark fighting Jelly here. Mad Mark upper position, and Maz steadily gaining on Dom. Not gaining by too much, because Dom only 1 lap older tyres here. With that safety car period, that won't really have been much. In fact, Dom would have added tyres up to temperature, which would be why he had a decent safety car restart. Things are all settling at the top, starting to get a rhythm form. Gargreaves will want to be feeling that rhythm very, very soon, but he's got Ben Lane and Lewis to get around, and then he's got a 6-second gap to get around as well, as Flexi goes fastest on his fresh soft compound tyres, a 130.3. Very strong lap from Flexi in his attempt to close down a 24-second gap there. But Gargreaves, thought he was going to go for it there. You thought, but he didn't quite provide us with that one. I'm just going to have a quick, you had all assists on then. Then turn them back on and then start dialing them off one by one, as Muck, crucially, saying it again, if you have a bingo card with that word on it, you might as well take a win just for the amount of times I say it there. And Dom, that's Hammer having an incident, I believe. Flexi, my apologies. Dom has been passed by Maz, but he'll look to stick with Maz because ultimately he can use the raw pace that Mercedes has to sort of fling him through the field. As Lewis, first of the front pack to pit, 5 seconds behind, he's looking to undercut the leaders, but it all depends on his tyre warm-up and how strong that outlap is. Side by side into turn 1, Gargreaves passing Ben Lane there. Strong move from the Alfa Romeo and strong progress here. He is in the net lead, I'd say. He can probably take them tyres to the end at a very strong push. He'll try it, because he will come out in the lead by a long shot. I mean, only 6.5 seconds off that front pack. 6.4 to be specific. You have to think he will get the jump on these guys big time, and will have a massive, massive margin for the guys behind to catch you. They have a little more pace and fresher tyres, but Greaves can hang on to him. His tyres may carry him to win. Got 13 laps to find out. Yellow flags are out. Spin for Flexi again. Struggling with the balance on that Ferrari, it would seem. He must have cooked his tyres in the first spin. They are off it now. But on it is Thomas. And it will be George. Thomas will not want to hang around here. He doesn't have the ERS advantage, 20% in George's favour. But that's a mistake for Kuski, who has his red light flashing. And George and Thomas pass. And Thomas will use the slingshot effect here into turn 1. Will he try and sweep around the outside? No, but he will look for the switchback. Doesn't get it. Kuski, mistake, and then red light flashing. Has lost 2 positions going down the main straight. And now, this has allowed Muck to gap 1.6 seconds. He's broke the DRS on the different compound, and he can start to pull away now. he needs to, because I reckon this is about the time the top medium runners will be diving into the pit lane. Because, of course, we saw the other medium runner of Lewis dive into the pits about 3 laps ago. So these guys just delaying the inevitable, trying to get as much out of this rubber as they can. But you have to say, those tyres look like they are deteriorating and dying and screaming out for help about 5 laps ago. It's just a matter of who wants to pit first, because we don't know if the undercut is more powerful or the overcut around here. I'd say it's it's probably overcut, to be honest, because undercut, you pit first, you struggle through that first sector of tyres. Fresh hards, maybe fresh, but they ain't fresh with their temperatures. So you lose a ton of time there. Guy ahead, yeah, he comes out ahead of you. But you can't pass through sector 1 because you'll end up killing them. Or they'll end up killing you because they've got no front end. Or rear end. Or grip. As George has now closed into Muck, who must have made a mistake somewhere. What's happened to the leader? Because the pack have caught him. I was raving about a performance. Speaking as a performance, Maz is looking to recover. He's only 3 seconds off Greaves, 3.5. That's a fastest lap for someone, I believe. But it's interesting dynamic from Marcus. Kuski really has dropped off here. He's got to try something different. He's got to get into the pits, get that set of tyres off, slap. Maybe I've predicted it earlier of St. George's Saudi Arabia strategy. I think that the Alpines are going medium soft here. Softs will go about 8-9 laps at a push. So it's nearing the soft pit window now. So Muck will go soft as well, presumably, side by side. Gar Greaves and Ben Lane fighting it out still. These two cars haven't stopped haranguing each other ever since Greaves got past Ben a few laps ago. Ben has stuck with him and has been a thorn in his side, and he's allowed Maz to catch up half a second that lap. Big gains. Big mistake for Jelly. He looks to have dropped a little bit of time there. Ben is not letting Greaves go by any means. Thomas, the first of the medium runners, into the pits. Now it's advantage Maz and Greaves, because although Maz had that incident with Intronsic, Greaves has gone wide. Greaves has gone wide and he's got a penalty in doing it. So he's going to have to stick the anchors out, stick his arms out and make that car more than 2 meters wide. He's going to have to make it about 10 meters wide, because Maz will smell blood in the water. And he will want to feast, because that's a car going wide. That's Ironland making a mistake. He keeps it in the race, crucially. Good save from Iron, and he will still be in the points, but he's got to watch out for Thomas. Oh. Scary stuff when you're rejoining on the leaders, right? One of the leaders is right there. But Iron doing a good job to get to the inside, stay out of the way, and Thomas doing the complete opposite in positioning and staying out of the way as well. So Maz is on Greaves now. But Greaves will have DRS on Ben. Ben did not want to let Greaves go, and he did not let him go. It's going to the chicane, clipping the grass with Muck and George into the pits then. The front row dive into the pits at the same time for the soft compound tyre. Muck is on the mediums. Muck has pit for the medium tyre. He's going to be so slow in these first few laps. And George has just thrown him, because George is tyre wear and is tyre saving. As Thomas, here comes Thomas. Has the undercut actually worked? Or will Muck get them tyres up to temperature with enough time? We've now got a rainbow choice of tyres between this lot. Thomas has gone for the hards compared to George on the softs. Two probably incorrect decisions, but Thomas couldn't go to the mediums because they wouldn't last well, they would last, but he's been on them already. You have to run 2 different compounds in the dry. And Muck all over the back of Dom, who he will try and navigate as soon as possible. But being behind traffic will open himself up for dives, but he's not letting that slide. Great pass Dom up into P4. Net race lead, Maz and Greaves might try and stick it out to the end of the race here, or wait for another safety car. As Jelly gets a free, here comes Maz on Greaves to the inside at 130 yards. Jelly retires from the session. The safety car right now would save these two's races, and it has! They can pit for fresh tyres and be with the leaders. That has gone so much in Kuski's favour as well. He dives into the pits, and he will get a fresh set of soft tyres on and go to the end of the race and come out P1. Kuski, Maz and Greaves have just got the payout of their lives alongside Ironland and Dom, who will both presumably dive into the pits. Flexi and Hammer will probably pit as well. Wow. Kuski doesn't quite come out in the lead, but it's damn close. He's back with his teammate. As Maz is with that lead group as well. The top 2 on slower tyres of 8 laps to go. This is what I was talking about with safety cars screwing up people's races. It's not necessarily screwed up the top guys' races. It's more just help the top guys who left the pack through mistakes and alternate strategies to get back in it. So although the top guys, top 4 wouldn't have necessarily lost positions, Maz and Greaves have gained big time from this. And Maz, Greaves and Intronsic, 3 drivers who had a lot of clashes mere laps ago, are now on the same piece of track. And although that's in the past, there will still be a bit of tension between them guys. And aggression will be rife at the safety car restart. You get the feeling that they will battle hard as soon as the green flag comes out. So here we go then. This car will most likely be in next lap, I'd say. What a race this has been so far. This division rarely disappoints. And it's reminding me of why I enjoy commentating so much. As Greaves into the pits, needs a new front wing. He's probably made contact with someone, or someone made contact with him at some point. Maybe they just didn't change it after the contact with Intronsic earlier on. That might be the reason why his front wing's struggling, because he did make front wing to side pod contact with a lot with the lights of Intronsic, but to say a very, very strange dynamic going on here. Muck on the medium, Thomas on the hards, but everyone, well, the 2 Alpines behind on softs, Maz on soft, and pretty much everyone behind them on the softer or fresh mediums. Intronsic and Lewis, the odd ones out in that gaggle, who will be causing their own mobile, will be making mobile chicanes of their own. But I have to say, these 2 must work together. Thomas cannot just gamble with attacking Muck, because that will allow George and Kuski to get through, and they will eat these 2 up. As Flexi on the back of the pack then. I'm going to scroll through till I get a decent song here. Okay then. Mark's done this twice before. He'll do it again. Mad Mark runs wide there. Safety car will still kill me in this lap. Yeah, as I was saying, he's done it twice this race to perfection. They'll have to do it better than ever here. As we rise to see this restart. Mark saying he's got rear wing damage. Mark keeping the tyres warm. And he's gone. Before the chicane he does it again, but Thomas predicts it. But the traction advantage, medium to hard, is huge, and Muck is gone. Same said for Thomas on George, which we wouldn't really expect. Further down the grid, everyone dashing down the straight here. Jostling for position. 3 positions can be made up on safety car restarts. Side by side there. Hammer and Ben and Gargreaves, sorry. Lewis has already lost a position to Maz, who is already 2 positions behind his championship rivals. Bit of an odd dynamic. Thomas, does he work with George or does he try and go it alone? Yeah, I have to say that, oh, this gap got very, very close. They're going to go side by side into Degner. Surely not cutting the corner there. Big time Ben Lane. Trying to get through Ironland. Any big lunges into the hairpin? Not this time round, but Ben Lane looking to open up the corner. These 3 on it. And Thomas, well, he's letting Muck leave him here. Well, not really letting. It's not. Oh, side by side there. Ironland and Dom. Ironland getting sent wide, and he'll go on the gravel. Got to be careful on rejoin for Flexi. Keeps it out the way, but that is massively hurting. Dom must have made contact with Ironland, or vice versa. As Ben Lane and Dom now side by side, heading into the chicane. No space left for Ben Lane, but he'll look to open up the corner. Muck goes fastest on his bid to open up the gap before the soft runners really come into their own. Side by side down the straight. Ben Lane getting passed by Dom, and Dom going wide and getting repassed straight away. Little twitch there from the AlphaTauri. Good save. But further down as well, we've got fight in here between Ironland and Hammer and Flexi as well. These 2 drivers keeping it tame through there as Greaves is out. Is this another safety car? Yes, it is. Wow. What on earth has happened to Greaves then? One of the championship elects looking to ignite his season. Oh, nothing's set on fire, but he is missing a wheel. It's another safety car. He's number 4, and Muck will lead another safety car, and this is helping Thomas out big time. Or is it helping the soft runners, who will still get that dose of pace? I'm going to give my voice a little bit of a break here under this pause. I'll be back in literally probably about a minute and a half, 2 minutes with more of the same absolute chaos. What about this thing? Right then, we are preparing for the restart here. Load the stream back up. Bosh, chat is open. And then we will be green just a moment. Okay, as I said, a very interesting dynamic here. The two leaders on different compounds. They were going pretty strong in their first go. And the softs will start to be dropping off about now. They will be past their 2-second lap faster peak. They will still be the quicker tyre for the rest of the race. As Muck preparing to do it once again. He has a 3-second time penalty. Going so slow, they're starting to ghost even. And Muck's gone. He has gone. And he's caught George well off guard there. But, sorry, Thomas off guard, but he's not caught George off guard, who will be in the mix here to try and pass Thomas. That Alpine engine, Renault engine, revving right to the limit. To the inside goes George. They make a little bit of contact on the apex, but George does it. He's up ahead of his title rival. And this is big point swing in the championship. No matter what happens, we know Kuski will defend like crazy and will push like crazy to try and pass as Lewis has had a spin. That's my prospect of a Lewis podium gone, or Williams podium for Lewis gone. Ironland still, miracles do happen. But Maz will have Kuski defending like absolute mad as Mad Marks dropped it because of the rear wing damage. No doubt there. Bit of an interesting double sandwich going on here. George will want to gap Thomas. Kuski will want to attack Thomas. And Thomas might want to help his teammate out. But they are in a title fight here. So, the whole teammate spiel might get thrown out the window. And it does look like these guys have a little more pace. But they are welcoming more ERS usage than the others. George is now giving chase for the lead of this race. He hasn't won a race all season. It's been Mazmania so far. But George will be looking to plaster his name all over the championship. Oh, hey. And get his name to the top for the first time in HRA. Maz has been there many a time, the reigning champion, of course. He had pace towards the end of the last game, and he's got pace towards the start of this game. Flexi made a mistake. Same said for Mad Mark again, same said for Lewis again. These drivers just sticking it out, trying, hoping for other crashes, DNS throughout the field, but Kuski is all over the back of Maz. Sorry, Kuski's all over the back of Thomas. I see a Mercedes, I think it's Maz. My apologies. And we're just a lap and a half to go here. Tensions and the stakes are rising. Dom's lost a position there. Has he looked it? No, just been passed. And Maz is opting to save his ERS for this last lap. The others deploying everything they've got, but Maz has to stay with them. Kuski on the attack here. Will he go for it heading into the chicane? There's only really one option, and that is the big send. Down the inside goes Kuski. He's got it too deep. And Thomas will stay out ahead, but Kuski's made a mistake. Maz hits him. Maz hits George. Kuski on the rejoin. An incredibly unsafe rejoin, probably in the opinion of the Mercedes. But he'll argue he didn't really have anything else to do. He had grass on his tyres, for God's sake. But Maz with damage on his car, no doubt. And he'll see his two championship rivals sail away into the distance as he won't have a response to the damage. Kuski drops down the order after the mistake, the rejoin. Tagged by Thomas, tagged by Maz, who then tagged his teammate. It was a game of bowling, and Thomas came out the better. Kuski came out the worse. And Maz has been left with the split. Out front, Muck leads by 1.6, but it's not enough for him to take the win. It will be George, unless Mark can pull something out of the hat and pull 1.4 seconds out in this last sector and a half of the race. It's been an absolutely chaotic race. 4 full safety cars. Mark has led lights to flag. It's wide for Maz. He's really pushing to try and keep it in, but he's got to try not to get a penalty here. Kind of has to settle here for this position, which he will not be happy with. George, at this point, without the pens, he'd normally be settling for second, but right now, George has done it. Finally, he's had the pace all season long, but he strings it together. Played his cards right. George takes a win. Max second, Thomas third, and Maz P4. His first time off the top step all season long. And George takes the win and has been ignited in this championship. That is a 13-point swing in his favour. And that gap at the front preemptively is now down to just, what my calculations are telling me, just 8 points. And that is how it can all ebb and flow. Dom retiring at the last. Mad Mark will try and trail it home with his damage. What an intriguing, exciting, and chaotic race that was. We saw Mark lead lights to flag. Did he have fastest, or was that someone else? George had fastest, so we'll take 26 points, so that gap will just be 7 at the top. That is the gap from just a simple P1 to P2. Thomas also gains points, but George, the biggest winner, and he's won it all here. Dom saying he didn't retire, love that. As Mad Mark will crawl around to the end. It has all gone wrong for him. But, had a blast. Doing donuts involuntarily towards the end. Always fun. There's the winning then. Finally, Alpine on top. And George back in it. As if he wasn't already. George is now a true title threat to Maz. And Thomas snapping at the heels of both of them. This is getting exciting. And for the first time I feel in a while, we finally have multiple challengers. We have, I'd say, a decent 4, maybe even 5 titans fighting it out at the top of HRA. It's not Cushmania anymore. Not for a while. But when Cush returns, my God, it's going to get messy. George takes the win then. Muck P2 on debut, decent from him, but without that penalty you'd have to think what could have been. And if you would have pitted onto softs, maybe, just maybe, he would have pulled out enough gap. He was the quickest car today, but sometimes you do need Mother Luck to be on your side. And that, alongside raw pace, was on George's side, and he got lucky in the terms of finishing positions of rivals. He outscored them. Didn't just have one car between them. His championship rival, he had 2, and he had 1 between the guy who was trailing him, digging into it, who loses 11 points, but still gains to the lead of the championship, crucially, and Thomas will take that as a positive. What a race HRA has provided here. Championship blown wide open. anything can and will happen, as I love to say so much. Wow. All I can say is, I have been Apollo. This has been HRA, and we will see you next time for the Portugal Sprint.